Welcome back to the farm. Sorry for missing last week, but there wasn't a whole lot going on, except for a whole lot of rain, which I'm not going to complain about too much because we did need it. But, hold on, I'm going down a hill. Look out, cat, I'm going to run you over. And this week was a lot of the same. Between dentist appointments and I worked the polls on Tuesday, which if you've ever done that, you know it's a grinding job, even in a slow year. And this was a very slow year. We had, in the 15 hours I was there, we had 88 people come out to vote out of 3,700 in our polling district. So, but yeah, so I was there from 5 in the morning until almost 10 at night. So I spent all day yesterday sleeping. But we got to get some work done, so today was the day. Xander came out and helped me build some shelves out in the front flower garden to put some of my indoor plants out so they could get extra sunlight and get reinvigorated. Especially the amaryllis I got at Christmas this past year, because apparently you can summer them over and then put them to rest in September and bring them out in November and they'll bloom for you again for Christmas. So I'm experimenting with that. The garden is doing what the garden's going to do, and I've just got to let go and let God. None of the beans came up. None of the summer squash came up. I'm going to try those again. Most of the corn did not come up, although I did notice I've got maybe a dozen little plants coming up. So hopefully we'll get a little bit of a harvest. I'll have to make sure to manually pollinate anything that comes along. The tomatoes are looking okay. The beets are coming up. The lettuce is almost to a point where I could start harvesting some of that. So just bits and bobs, and like I said, it's going to do what it's going to do, and it just has to be good enough. My neighbor has been generous enough to come and mow my lawn for me a couple of times. They still haven't come to get the mower. That's supposed to happen on next Tuesday, and then God knows how long they'll have it for. But I'll be glad to have that back and can start doing some other cleanup, because I haven't wanted to ask my neighbor to do more than just the busy areas. So he's doing the front and back of the house and the garden pasture, and that's plenty. The upper pasture where the orchard is and the pond pasture, they can go to grass, and I may, once I'm mobile enough, may go out and see about cutting some of it and drying it to have grass to feed to the rabbits. But that's not a today problem. Tomorrow, I go back to the doctor again, and with any luck, I'll get my boot, which means I'll be out of the cast, and I won't be weight bearing immediately. That I have to ease into that over a couple of weeks, but the sooner I'm off this scooter, the happier I'm going to be. The scooter has been a lot nicer than having to get around on crutches, but it still is not very convenient. And it's an exercise I challenge anyone to put themselves to for a week, just to remind themselves of why ADA compliance is an important thing. And it's definitely gotten me thinking about putting a permanent ramp here on the house. We've got this temporary ramp going right now, but if I did a permanent ramp along the front of the porch there going out to the driveway, not only would I have it if I'm ever in need of it again, because I'm not getting any younger, but I can also use it for the wagon to bring firewood up to the firewood rack. So it's on the radar. It's probably not this year, not next year, maybe the year after that project. but we'll worry about that then. And that's kind of... Sorry, I just saw a very big spider go running up the ramp, and I don't like spiders very much. As long as they stay outside, then we're fine. So I've done some cleanup in the front garden, and there you can see the shelves we built and the amaryllis that are summering over. None of my iris bloomed this year, which I don't know if it's because the weather was so fickle, or at least these ones up here were just buried in the goutweed. I just pulled that out last week in a fit of boredom. So these are what I call my dad's iris, because they were my dad's iris. I got corms from him way back when we moved into our house in Pennsylvania, and they grew in front of my house there for years and years and years. And fortunately, I had dug them up the fall before the fire so I could bring them to wherever I was going to go. And so I was able to salvage some of them. But I want to get them out of this bed and get all the dirt and any potential goutweed roots off of it before I transplant it anywhere else. Those and the ones that I have in the garden here are eventually going to go along the stick fence up front. The chicken wire fence has been working really well. I haven't seen any of the chickens attempt to get through it. I haven't really even seen the cats try and get through it. So that's doing what it needs to. I still need to prop up the corners. But I do have some really pretty blooms coming in. So I've got these beautiful white campanulas coming in that I don't remember planting last year, but they came back. So, and then my foxgloves up front, those, and the little ivory ones down there, they're blooming really nicely. I just deadheaded the dahlias, so hopefully I'll get some more of those back. And the baptisia back behind the amaryllis there are starting to bloom, so that's nice. The chickens dug up just about everything that was in this back bed, so not a lot coming up in there. But that's kind of the state of the farm right now. It's mostly holding on with my bare nails and hoping we get through everything. But we'll come back in a day or two and see where we're at.
So I woke up this morning, and I hear Josh and Mom talking about a fallen pine tree, and I thought it might have been somewhere closer to the house, but no, it's over here, right on the edge of the pond. You see, there's the house over there, there's the tree. And this was caused by the storm that happened a few nights ago. Nature does not mess around.
lot can happen on the farm. Well, if I was going to say in a few days, but it's been a few weeks. Between the storms and the heat, and my transitioning into the boot, I haven't been able to do a whole lot. I haven't been out in the garden really with any kind of effort in almost 3 weeks. But, you know, when you stop paying attention, nature takes over, including the chickens finding a new place to lay their eggs that Xander didn't even think to look in. And I only happened to notice because there was one lying kind of in the beginning of that bunch of weeds. And when I looked further back, there was a pile of, it's like 24 eggs. I did just give them all the float test, and they're all fine. So they haven't been laying there too long. And we'll see if they keep laying there now that we've taken the eggs that were there out. I said to Xander, I wouldn't feel so bad about it if there was a hen sitting on them, so that we might actually get more chicks out of it. But nope. And that wouldn't be great either because it's outside the fence, so they wouldn't be protected. So it's just as well that we found them and have moved on. I did find a couple of chickens way out at the far end of the pond pasture. So they are getting very brazen. And somebody's going to get run over by a car. That's on their heads. As you saw, I walked out to the pond. As an aside, that's the one word that I say with a New England accent from my parents. I cannot say pond. I always say pond. It's just comes out automatically. But anyway, I walked out to take a look at the pine tree, and I was misunderstanding the descriptions I was getting from Xander and Josh. I thought it had fallen back away from the pond, but no, it fell right into the pond. And that is going to be really hard to clean up. And I don't know if I'm going to be able to do it, or if there's even a way to do it. So that's going to require some thinking and puzzling when I can get out there better. I did try walking out there, but the grass is so long back there that it was just tangling around my crutches, and I just couldn't wade through it. So once I get the mower back, I'll go out there and mow a path out there so I can get in and out of there a little easier. The mower did get picked up last week. He said it would take a week, so we'll see if that actually happens. I'll have it back, or I'll call them on Friday and see if they've been able to work on it and where they're at with it. Like I said, last time they had it for 6 weeks. I also didn't follow up with them regularly last time, so hopefully if there's a squeaky wheel, they'll get it done faster. And today was my first day back at work and finding out all the new policies and procedures that have gotten put in place. I'm not sure if I explained this earlier, my company split off, and my section of the company is becoming a new company, which meant new benefits packages and new payroll processes and all of that, and it all transitioned while I was out on my leave. So I'm having to figure all this stuff out. And it's part of why I've been having real problems getting my short-term disability, because I can't tell who's handling the paperwork. But I'm back to work now, and we'll keep on keeping on. But it does feel kind of good to be back at work, because I wasn't able to do a whole lot here, and I was starting to go a little bit stir-crazy. But it is the time of year, as you saw me setting up my spinning project a couple of weeks ago, there was a method to that madness. The month of July, the Tour de France, the big bicycle race, runs through France and other countries in that part of Europe. For some reason, they end up over in England too, but hey, whatever makes them happy. But the spinning community responds to that with the Tour de Fleece, because of the wheels, get it? So for the entire run of the Tour de France, spinners are challenged to spin every day that the tour rides. And there are 2 rest days, so those 2 days we don't have to spin, or you can use it as a makeup day for a day that you might not have been able to spin during the race. And there are 2 challenge days where you're challenged to go above and beyond what you've been doing. I actually ran this on Ravelry for a couple of years, and it's a lot of fun. It's wonderful getting to see everybody's different yarns and the different tools that they're using for spinning, from drop spindles to the e-wheels like I have to the big walking wheels. Everybody's got something a little different, and everybody has different fibers that they're spinning and coming up with some really beautiful ways to make yarn. So my challenge is to get that box of fiber spun during the course of these 4 weeks. So that's given me something to look forward to every day to keep me doing something creative. So I've gotten 1 bobbin almost done, in the 2 days that it's been running so far. I have to get in and finish that bobbin for tonight. And that's kind of where we're at right now. Can't wait until Wednesday. I'm finally able to get my hair cut because I can get up and downstairs. My hairdresser lives up, or the shop is up a flight of like 5 steps, and there's no handicapped access to it. So I haven't been able to get my hair cut, and I was a couple of months behind even before the surgery. So I am way beyond needing it cut, and I'm really looking forward to getting it done. But and that's kind of all I'm looking forward to this week. We've got to do some cleaning, and I'm going to try and get out in the garden to start getting some of those weeds out. If I can just do 1 bed a day, then I'll be able to start catching up on some of that. I think it's supposed to rain tomorrow, though, so I'm not sure if I'll be able to get out or not. almost think I'm less stable on the crutches than I was on the knee scooter. But it is what it is. As I think I mentioned before, I don't think anybody's been in the garden in 3 weeks except for Xander going out to pick strawberries. And it's gotten really bad. I was laying in bed at 4 o'clock this morning thinking, why can't I pick any lettuce? I should have a ton of lettuce right now. But it's because it's competing with the weeds too much, so it's not getting to size. So I decided this morning I was going to come out and do some weeding, at least in the lettuce bed. And I did it for about 10 minutes and filled an entire bucket and realized I can't haul the bucket to the rabbits, and Xander's gone with Josh to Syracuse for the day. So I'll work on the tomatoes. Those clips are called tomato clips, and they're so much better than what I'm used to using, which was old pantyhose. Did you know that you can't get pantyhose anymore? The major manufacturers for pantyhose have gone out of business. But for about the same price as 3 or 4 packs of pantyhose, I got 300 tomato clips, and I don't have to cut those up. And they just clip right on and hold the tomatoes in place. And at the end of the season, I can unclip them and have them again for next year. So I think that was a pretty good investment of 20 bucks. I ran out of time. I've got to get into work. So I've got one more row of tomatoes that I've got to clip up. So I'll try and do that on my lunch break and see if I can get any more weeding done. I may have to just haul the wagon up, or have Xander haul the wagon up when he gets back, and just dump all the weeds in the wagon. I'd rather feed them to the rabbits if I can, but the compost pile needs them too, so I gotta get to work. So it's a couple of weeks later, and it's actually August now. That last clip was shot at the beginning of July, and I haven't filmed anything since. It's really hard when you're used to being able to do a lot of things to suddenly not be able to do those things. And even when you know there's an end to it, like I know there is an end to this and I will be mobile again, it still eats at you. And people are hesitant to call it depression, but I do think it is depression, and it makes you not want to do anything. Literally, I was moving around a lot worse for a while with the boot and the crutches than I had been with the knee scooter. And what I had thought was going to be liberating really wasn't. So I didn't go up to the garden, and I didn't go outside, and I didn't do a lot of things. I fed myself and Xander. I kept the dishes done, and I read a whole lot. But even things like my spinning, I didn't have the heart to do it. I felt like a failure, like I wasn't living up to my own expectations of myself. And this is very normal for people who have health conditions, whether acute like mine are or chronic. My mother's going through something very similar right now, and my life is never going to be what it was again. And that's hard to manage. And it's okay to let yourself feel that while you're in it, especially if you know that there is an end coming. But you do get to a point where you either have to be this is going to get better, so you need to get over yourself. Well, this is the Gen Xer speaking. You know, spit on it and keep going. Or I have to live with this for the rest of my life. I am not in a place that I want to be right now, so I probably should talk to somebody and get some help. And again, my generation and generations before me have this conditioning of asking for help is weakness, and it really isn't. So I would encourage you, if you're in a place where you feel like there's not much point beyond getting up, going to work, coming home, eating, going to bed, to talk to somebody, get some support. We all deserve it. Our lives are much richer than what our corporate overlords want us to think they are. Live your life. Be healthy, be happy. Like I said, I've read 12 books in the last 6 weeks. 12, 14 books. For me, that's really good. Last year, I think I read 12 books all year. So I'm pleased that I've been developing that. You saw we got the baby chicks. I'm very excited about them. I ended up with 2 Bielefelders. I had a third one, but it didn't survive the trip, along with the freebie that I got, and 3 black copper Morans. And those I'm really excited for. A, because they're black chickens, and black chickens make hawks think that there are crows on the ground, and they won't mess with crows, so it helps protect the flock. And they lay eggs that are such a dark brown that they almost look like chocolate. So I'm very excited to be adding that to my egg box. I haven't had much luck selling eggs this year. I've been donating a lot to the local food bank just because they're not selling. And the chickens have been benefiting because some of the extras I've been scrambling up and feeding to them. So they're all doing well. I'm down to my last 2 batches of rabbits. I had a dispatch session with a woman up in Herkimer and got some really good tips on ways to process rabbits. And I'm very pleased with what I've learned from her. So I've got to be investing in a little bit of hardware for going forward with these last 2 batches. My second to last batch has got free run of both runs right now, and they'll be going to freezer camp the beginning of September. And I think I've got 7 in that batch. And then Julia's got 1 last litter of 4, and they'll be going to freezer camp the beginning of October. And then I'll be done with breeding the rabbits until next late winter, early spring. I'm trying to decide if I'm going to do my first breeding in February or in March, and then start this cycle all over again. I'm trying to think what else is going on around here. A lot of craziness at church. So we're losing our minister at the end of this month, and we'll be a year without a minister. And I am the head of the worship committee as well as the board president. So I think I'm kind of running the church next year. I don't know, but I'm going to be channeling my dad a lot over the next few months as we get that lined up. For those of you who don't know, my father was a minister in the United Church of Christ for, I don't know, all my life. And I grew up in that church. I'm not in that denomination anymore, but it all maps. It's all church politics and church dynamics, and it's all stuff that I'm familiar with from the backside. So I think we'll be okay. And I've got a really good congregation, so I think we'll have an interesting year, but we'll be good. And we're hoping to come out the other side with a shiny new minister. And the chicken run got away from us this year because the chickens have been free ranging all year, so they weren't in that restricted space to keep the weeds down. So it all grew ridiculously. There were thistles in there that were taller than me, taller than Xander even. So we got those all cut down yesterday, and Xander went through with the weed whacker. We've got to pull the fence down so we can clean it up really well. I'm hoping to get the chicken coop moved. The folks I bought it from are going to be at the county fair this week. And so I'm going to ask them what their charge is just to move a building that they've put on site. And that's just because in the winter, it's really hard to walk up the hill to get into the coop. So I want to move it so that that door is more on level with the rabbitry and the big shed where I store the supplies for them over the winter. And so I don't have to climb that hill. And then if I'm shoveling or plowing out that way, I only have to do one path and then a couple of offshoots instead of having to do multiple paths. So we've got that cleaned up. I got the mower back. I am so happy to have the mower back. So I've been working the last week or two cleaning up the orchard and the paths out to the orchard, getting the pond pasture cleared and the paths out to where that tree fell down. So we're getting that in good shape. It's great for Josh and Avery too, because now they've got more places they can walk the dogs. The dogs don't like to walk through tall grass, so they've been having a hard time getting around. So we're starting to pull some control back. I've got a couple of projects garden type projects coming up, and it's harvest time. The garlic is past due. The potatoes are all dying back, so they're ready to get harvested. I've got to order cover crops to protect the soil until winter comes. But yeah, we're looking down the throat of winter now. Our last frost date is 6 weeks away. So we're coming down to the end of it already. I feel like we just started, but that's the surgery talking. So, but I just wanted to come in here and wrap up July, and I won't say promise, but hope that I will be back on track now that I'm a little more mobile. I'm out of the boot. I can use a brace if I need to, but I'm finding that that's actually hurting more than helping. So I haven't been using that, and I'm using the crutches just when I need to. So progress is being made. I'm hoping by the end of this week I'll be driving. I am on this will be my 3rd week of doing PT, so the light at the end of the tunnel is not a train. And all things will be well. So thank you so much for sticking around while I've been absent. Thank you for your patience and your good wishes. And I hope you'll come back and see what we get up to going forward. Take care, everybody.